A very good day to our lecturer, Dr. Noor Azri Mahmood. And so today, we will be presenting a research project entitled Factors Influencing User Acceptance Towards Cashless Society in Malaysia among University Students. We are from class BA2435B, presenting this video for the subject of Research Methodology MGT648. I am Nobatrisha binti Ismail. My group members are Raja Fatin Nur Aini binti Raja Faridun, Nurul Yasmin binti Jamaluddin, and lastly, Muhammad Naim bin Dilda Muhammad. For this video presentation, we will be presenting on 5 chapters, which will firstly be Introduction, Literature Review, Research Methodology, Results and Findings, and last but not least, Discussions and Conclusions. Now, let's move on to the introduction. First and foremost, the word e-wallet means a digital wallet which enables the individual to connect debit or credit cards with the digital wallet in order to perform transactions. E-wallet payments are more convenient and faster than conventional banking because they save time and money. The development of e-wallet in Malaysia is largely due to the many facts, one of which is simple monetary transactions and the savings of costs. The most popular and extensively used e-wallet in Malaysia are the Bank of Ayong Wallet, Boost, BigPay, GrabPay, WeChat Pay, and Touch and Go e-wallets, 6 of which have obtained a formal authorization from Bank Negara Malaysia. Moving on to the problem statement, the reason why we chose e-wallet acceptance is because it was discovered that e-wallet adoption in Malaysia is still low. There is still a low degree of acceptance. The majority of Malaysians are unaware of the benefits of electronic wallets. Furthermore, the primary elements that impact e-wallet adoption in Malaysia are unknown. According to the 2018 Payment Landscape Report of Malaysia, debit cards and internet banking are the usage of non-cash payment methods preferred by most Malaysians, while few utilize mobile wallets. According to Yang, Liu, Li, and Yu, mobile payment systems that use wireless communication technology is highly vulnerable and has high possibility for financial information to be hacked by cyber criminals. Based on the background of study and problem statement, we have identified 2 research objectives. The first one is to examine the characteristics of university students based on central tendency and measure towards their acceptance of e-wallet adoption. The second objective is to determine the level of facilitating conditions and security towards the acceptance of e-wallet adoption among university students. Moving on to chapter 2, which is literature review. Based on the research framework, we have identified 2 independent variables that may have high influence on the acceptance of e-wallet among university students. These 2 independent variables are facilitating conditions and security, both of which plays an important factor for students to consider using e-wallet services. Many scholars found positive and significant relationship between behavioral intention and new technology use. Behavioral intention can be defined as a course of action that an individual aims to achieve. Behavioral intention means the perceived possibility of a person to be achieved in a period of time. Many academics discovered that behavioral intention and new technologies have had good and substantial link. The next one is facilitating conditions, which is the degree to which an individual feels that a technological infrastructure exists to facilitate the usage of technology. According to a study done by Taylor and Todd in 1995, it has shown that facilitating conditions influence behavioral intention directly. When effective conditions are at play, such as internet devices enabled, knowledge of using e-wallet services, and endorsement of providers of mobile wallet services, the new technology or service are expected to be adopted more often by users. The e-wallet has gained its popularity due to effortless transactions, but people still have great fear to make transactions due to security issues. Customers with no experience in the field of using technology may have concern regarding security and privacy. It is stated that due to the rapid evolution of technology, users have become much more concerned about privacy and security, and this has contributed to the refusal to disclose their financial information such as debit or credit card details on the internet or commercial e-sites.
Now we move to research design. The purpose of study use exploratory study to determine the factors that influence user acceptance in using e-wallet platform among higher learning students. For type of investigation, this research is executed by using correlational relationship in which there are at least two or more concept or variable move in the same direction. In this case, both creating and facilitating condition would positively correlate with behavioral intention of users utilizing e-wallet services. For extent of research interference, this research use minimal interference where researcher involvement in data collection is by distributing questionnaire. The study setting used by this research is non-contrived, where the study type conducted is field study. This is because the research is conducted to study on how facilitating condition and security significantly impact the behavioral intention of users in using e-wallet. For unit of analysis in this research as individuals, this study is to investigate on each individual's perceived facilitating condition and security as few of factors influencing the user acceptance in utilizing e-wallet. The time horizon used in this research is cross-sectional, which means that data gathering is one time only over a period of days or possibly weeks in order to meet the research objective. The data gathering is by distributing questionnaire through Google Form, where respondents would have to answer only once. Next is sampling design. The target population that we use is student part 5 of Human Resource from UiTM campus Bandaraya Melaka, but the sample size circulated to 62 students only from 3 classes, which are BA2435A, 5B and 5C. For sampling technique, we use non-probability sampling, which is the selection of participants because they are available, represent some characteristic that we want to study, and we use convenience sampling to collect information from members of the population who are conveniently available to provide it. Google Form is a method of convenience sampling to execute data collection. We use primary data collection method, quantitative research approach, using online survey as data collection technique with questionnaire as data instrument. The questionnaire was divided into 4 sections. In section A, students instructed to fill in the forms about their demographic information and the experience of using e-wallet. In section B, the question is regarding facilitating conditions such as availability and accessibility of e-wallet services knowledge of how to use e-wallet and technological resources needed to use e-wallet. In section C, security is measured through questions such as the quality of protection against risk of fraud and financial loss provided by e-wallet services, the privacy and confidentiality of personal information. Lastly, the question on dependent variable DV is acceptance to use e-wallet discussed in section D. All three sections are using 5-point Likert scale, ranging from 1 for strongly disagree to 5 for strongly agree. All data and information will be imported into the SPSS software for data analysis to analyze the data and draw insights for the hypothesis.
Next, 4.0 Results and Findings. In this part, we will discuss statistics related to findings and analyze the data based on our collected data from questionnaires that we have distributed. We used a software called Statistical Package for Social Science SPSS to analyze the data gathered. The area of discussion is on survey response rate, demographic profile, reliability tests, and descriptive statistics. So, let's start with survey response rate. For this research, we distributed questionnaires to 83 fifth semester students majoring in Human Resource Management at University Technology Mara UITM, Cawangan, Melaka, Kampus Bandaraya, Melaka. To fulfill the sampling size requirement, we managed to collect data from 62 respondents who answered the question. Above me is the calculation to calculate the response rate, and this study is 74.7%. Next section is demographic profile. This figure shows the values of frequencies and percentage of gender recorded from the respondents. Based on this figure, it indicates that out of 62 respondents received, there were 8 male students with a percentage of 12.9% and 54 female students with 87.1%. For demographic profile of each, this figure shows the value which indicates that out of 62 respondents, there were 51 respondents within the age range of 21 until 23 years old, which is highest total number in the category of age range at 82.3%. For the age range of 24 until 26 years old, the total number of frequency is 9, recorded at 14.5%, while 2 respondents are aged above 26 years old with a percentage of 3.2%. Move on to demographic profile for class. This pie chart shows the percentage of different respondents from different classes that we have distributed the questionnaires to. From the chart, we can see that out of 62 respondents, class of BA24350 recorded the highest number of respondents, which is at 25 students at 40.3%, followed by class of BA24335B that recorded 19 students at 30.6%. Class of BA24335A have one less respondent than 5B, which is 18 students at the percentage of 29.5%. Next is the chart that shows demographic profile of e-wallet usage frequency in a week. This chart shows out of 62 respondents that we gathered, most of them use e-wallet occasionally, total at 28 respondents at the percentage of 45.2%. Meanwhile, the second highest was rarely, in which 15 respondents, 24.2, stated that they rarely use e-wallet in a week. Only 3 respondents stated that they never use e-wallet. 4.8%, followed by the second least amounting to 7 respondents recorded at 11.3%, stating that they use e-wallet very frequently in a week. Lastly, this figure shows the demographic profile of e-wallet usage period. Most respondents have used e-wallet for less than 3 years, amounting them to 40 respondents, equivalent to 64.5% out of all the overall respondents. Following them are 20 students which have been using e-wallet within 3 to 6 years at the percentage of 32.3%. Also, only 2 respondents, 3.2%, have been using e-wallet for more than 6 years out of the total respondents. Next section will be reliability test. In order to measure the internal consistency of every instrument in the questionnaire, reliability tests had been conducted as to get an accurate and consistent result of each variables. We have used guidelines by Salkin 2000 that provide 5 levels of reliability range as shown in the table at the top. Based on the table at the bottom, it shows that the result of reliability tests for both dependent and independent variable in this research study. From the result, it shows that the Cronbach's alpha value for behavioral intention, facilitating condition, and security respectively are 0.8, 0.885, 0.846, and 0.943, in which they indicate that all the listed variables are recorded as very high in reliability range. Thus, this indicates that all the 70 items in the questionnaire is reliable and valid to measure the behavioral intention of university students in the research study. Moving on to the last section, descriptive statistics. Let's start with the first independent variables, which is facilitating condition. The highest mean recorded the six questions, and the mean score is 4.24. The lowest mean for this variable is recorded at 4.03 for the first question. For standard deviation, the second question's standard deviations is at 17.06% of the mean, where this value can be considered as small. Meanwhile, for the fifth question, the standard deviation is 22.19%, where this score is perceived as large deviation. Security is the second independent variable for this study. The highest mean for this variable is at the fifth question, which the mean score is at 4.34. Meanwhile, for the lowest mean is at the sixth questions, which the mean score is recorded at 4.06. The six questions of the variable have larger deviation compared to other, which is at 19.88%, while the smallest deviation is at the fifth question, which the score is only 16.67% from the mean. Lastly, for dependent variable, is the acceptance of e-wallet. The highest mean is recorded at 4.52 at the first question. The lowest mean is at the last question and was recorded at 4.08. The largest and smallest deviation for fifth and first questions, which equivalent to 21.89% and 14.85% respectively.
Conclusion and recommendation. As mentioned earlier, this study was led to the factor that influenced student acceptance toward e-wallet, and it has been accomplished successfully. This study has shown that most of students have intention to use e-wallet mediated through the factors of facilitating condition, and security on the adoption of an e-wallet. These variables are found to be significant between the independent variable and the dependent variable in affecting the consumer about level of intention of using e-wallet among students at UiTM Bandaraya Melaka. Through the data analysis and findings, the factors had been tested such as facilitating condition and security. The researcher found that the security is the biggest factor that influences student intention to use e-wallet. By understanding the determinant of intention of using e-wallet, appropriate variables can be taken to increase the level of intention of using e-wallet among students at UiTM Bandaraya Melaka. Based on the finding and conclusion of the study, there are several recommendations to be considered which is society must be informed about the advantage and potential risks of accessing this digital information. The government need to encourage digital payment, especially for people who are living in rural areas. Many of them are not familiar with digital payment, and some small merchant does not accepting the digital cashless as payment method. It is secure more than card, given that advanced security solutions such as tokenization and biometric authentication reduce fraud threat and charges so that people can intelligently buy. In this COVID-19 pandemic and movement control order, enforcement have also enhanced adoption to go cashless in our daily life. In addition, the government should offer cashless gadgets that are easy to adopt and suitable with micro companies, operational scope and business value. More awareness is now needed, and service providers may need to encourage more users, not only young and technological and people that knowledgeable about technology. And last but not least, the poor accessibility and connectivity might be one of the reasons that people prefer not to use e-wallet. There was a lack of infrastructure in some areas. Therefore, telecommunication providers are required to enhance their infrastructure stronger and more reliable in especially rural areas. It also gives an advantage to entrepreneurs in rural areas to market their product online and easier to offer e-wallet payment while reducing the need to handle cash.